She grabbed the glass of ice water and threw it directly in his face. "That's what you deserve, you pathetic nobody." The entire restaurant froze. 40 wealthy guests watched a billionaire humiliate a waiter in front of his colleagues, his manager, everyone. Marcus Chen stood there, water dripping down his face, his uniform soaked, his dignity shattered. But he didn't move. He didn't flinch. He didn't apologize. Because Victoria Kane had just made the worst mistake of her life. She thought she was destroying a waiter. She had no idea she was unleashing a former federal prosecutor who had spent 18 months waiting for this exact moment. What happens next will change everything you believe about power. Comment your city below. Let's see how far this story travels. The water hit Marcus Chen's face like a slap from God himself. Cold, brutal, public. Victoria Kane stood there, her $30,000 Chanel jacket still pristine. Her diamond earrings catching the light of the crystal chandeliers, her lips curled into a smile that could freeze hell twice over. "Clean it up," she said, "and get me a waiter who actually knows how to do his job." Marcus didn't move. The water dripped from his chin onto his black vest. His white shirt clung to his chest. Every eye in the obsidian room was locked on him. The silence was suffocating. Victoria's attorney shifted uncomfortably. Her CFO looked away. The 3 international investors at her table exchanged glances that said everything words couldn't. But Marcus Chen just stood there, breathing, waiting. "Did you hear me?" Victoria's voice cut through the silence like a knife through silk. "I said, clean it up. Or are you deaf as well as stupid?" The restaurant manager, a man named David, who had worked in fine dining for 30 years, rushed forward. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. "Ms. Kane, I am so terribly sorry. This will never happen again. Marcus, please go to the back and—" "No." The word came from Marcus. Quiet, steady, final. David stopped mid-sentence. Victoria's eyebrows rose slightly. The investors leaned forward. "Excuse me?" Victoria said. Marcus slowly reached up and wiped the water from his face with the back of his hand. When he looked at Victoria Kane, something in his eyes had changed. "I said no." Victoria laughed. It was the kind of laugh that powerful people use when they can't believe someone beneath them has dared to speak. "David," she said, not taking her eyes off Marcus. "Fire this man. Immediately. I want him escorted out of the building." David opened his mouth to respond, but Marcus spoke first. "Before you do that, Ms. Kane, perhaps your guests would like to know something interesting about the woman they're about to give $2 billion. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Victoria's smile faltered. Just for a moment. Just enough. "Security," she snapped. "Get this lunatic out of my sight." But the investors hadn't moved. Mr. Tanaka from Tokyo, Herr Schmidt from Berlin, Mr. Liu from Shanghai, 3 of the most powerful men in international real estate. And they were all staring at Marcus Chen with something that looked like curiosity. "Wait," Mr. Tanaka said quietly. "Let him speak." Victoria spun toward him. "Kenji, this is ridiculous. He's a waiter. He's nobody." "Perhaps," Mr. Tanaka replied. "But I've learned that sometimes nobody has the most interesting things to say." Marcus felt his heart pounding in his chest. 18 months. 18 months of serving drinks and clearing plates and being invisible. 18 months of watching Victoria Kane whine and dine her victims. 18 months of gathering evidence, recording conversations, building a case that no court would ever see. Until now. "My name?" Marcus said, his voice carrying across the silent restaurant, "is Marcus Chen, and I'm not just a waiter." Victoria rolled her eyes. "Oh, here we go. Let me guess. You're an actor. A writer. Some failed entrepreneur with a chip on his shoulder." "I'm a former federal prosecutor," Marcus said. "Harvard Law class of 2015. Before that, Johns Hopkins Medical School class of 2012. I speak 6 languages fluently. And I've spent the last 18 months gathering evidence of your crimes. The blood drained from Victoria's face. That's insane, she whispered. You're insane. Marcus turned to Mr. Tanaka and spoke in flawless Japanese. Tanaka-san, the Osaka development she presented to you last month contains falsified environmental reports. The land is contaminated with industrial waste from the 1970s. Cleanup costs will consume 60% of your projected returns. She knows this. She's been hiding it. Mr. Tanaka's eyes went wide. He grabbed his phone immediately. This is lies, Victoria shouted. He's making this up. Marcus turned to Herr Schmidt and switched to perfect German. The Berlin project has no permits. It's been rejected by the city council 3 times. The approval documents she showed you are forgeries. I have the originals. Herr Schmidt stood up so fast, his chair nearly fell over. Finally, Marcus turned to Mr. Liu and spoke in Mandarin. The Shanghai partners she mentioned are under investigation by the Ministry of Commerce. If you associate with this project, your company will be blacklisted from doing business in China for at least a decade. She knows this too. She was counting on you not finding out until after the money was transferred. Mr. Liu didn't say a word. He simply picked up his briefcase and walked toward the exit. Victoria grabbed his arm. Liu Wei, wait. This is a misunderstanding. We can discuss this. Mr. Liu pulled his arm away. We have nothing to discuss. My lawyers will contact yours. He walked out. The door closed behind him with a sound that echoed like a gunshot. Victoria Kane stood in the center of the obsidian room, her perfect composure cracking like ice on a spring lake. Who are you? She whispered, turning back to Marcus. Who the hell are you? Marcus took a step closer. Then another, until he was standing directly in front of the woman who had destroyed his life. 2 years ago, he said quietly, you executed a hostile takeover of a small pharmaceutical company called MedHope. The founder refused to sell, so you buried her in lawsuits. You blocked her funding. You spread lies to her investors. You destroyed everything she had built. Victoria's face was white now. I don't know what you're talking about. Her name was Emma Chen, Marcus continued. She was developing affordable medications for children with rare diseases. She wasn't interested in profit. She just wanted to help people, and you crushed her because she wouldn't give you what you wanted. That was business, Victoria said. That's how business works. The strong survive. The weak. She was my wife. The words hung in the air like smoke after an explosion. Victoria took a step backward. Her heel caught on something and she stumbled. Her attorney reached out to steady her, but she pushed him away. Your wife. Emma fought you for 14 months, Marcus said. She fought until she had nothing left, until she lost her company, her savings, her hope. And then one morning she kissed our daughter goodbye, walked out the front door, and never came home. Tears were streaming down Marcus's face now, but his voice never wavered. She left a note. Do you know what it said? It said she was sorry for failing, sorry for not being strong enough, sorry for leaving me and Lily alone. Marcus stepped even closer. Victoria backed into her chair. My wife apologized for being destroyed by you. She thought it was her fault. She thought she wasn't good enough. And I had to explain to my 7-year-old daughter why Mommy wasn't coming home for dinner, why Mommy wasn't going to tuck her in anymore, why Mommy was gone forever. The restaurant was completely silent. Several guests were crying. Even David the manager had tears in his eyes. I could have destroyed you in court, Marcus said. I had the evidence, I had the skills, but I wanted to understand first. I wanted to know how someone could hurt so many people and sleep at night. So I came here. I watched you. I listened. I learned. He pulled out his phone. 18 months of recordings. Every conversation at this table. Every deal. Every bribe. Every lie. Names of politicians you've paid off. Evidence of securities fraud, wire fraud, tax evasion, all of it. Documented, time-stamped, backed up to servers you will never find. Victoria's hands were shaking. Those recordings are illegal. They're inadmissible in court. We're not in court, Ms. Kane. We're in the court of public opinion. And as of 30 seconds ago, every recording is being sent to the SEC, the FBI, the IRS, and every major news outlet in the country. Victoria lunged at him. No, you can't do this. You can't. Marcus caught her wrist gently but firmly. It's already done. Victoria collapsed into her chair. The woman who had walked into this restaurant like she owned the world now looked like a child who had lost everything. Why? She whispered. Why did you wait so long? Why not just expose me immediately? Marcus released her wrist and took a step back. Because I wanted you to feel it. I wanted you to experience what Emma experienced. The slow realization that everything you built is crumbling. The helplessness of watching your empire fall apart, piece by piece. The loneliness of having no one left who will stand beside you. He gestured to the empty chairs around her table. Look around, Ms. Kane. Your investors are gone. Your attorneys are probably already drafting their resignations in their heads. Your CFO hasn't looked at you in 10 minutes. You're alone. Just like Emma was alone when she took her last breath. Victoria started to cry. Not elegant tears, ugly, desperate sobs that shook her entire body. I didn't know, she choked out. I didn't know she would. I never wanted anyone to. You never wanted anyone to die, Marcus finished for her. Maybe not. But you didn't care if they did. That's the difference between people like you and people like Emma. She spent her life trying to save children. You spent yours trying to accumulate wealth you'll never be able to spend. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that the people you were destroying were human beings with families and dreams, and people who loved them. He turned and walked toward the kitchen. Wait, Victoria called out. Victoria, where are you going? What happens now? Marcus paused at the door. He didn't turn around. Now you face the consequences of your choices. The SEC investigation will take about 6 months. The FBI case will take longer. Your stock price will crash tomorrow morning. Your board will demand your resignation within the week. And every person you've ever hurt will finally have the chance to tell their story. And you, what about you? Marcus finally turned. He looked at Victoria Kane one last time. I'm going to pick up my daughter from her babysitter. I'm going to tuck her into bed, and I'm going to tell her that Mommy can finally rest now, that Daddy kept his promise. He pushed through the kitchen door and disappeared. Victoria Kane sat alone at the center table of the Obsidian Room, surrounded by 40 witnesses who had just watched her empire burn to the ground in less than 15 minutes. Her phone began to buzz. Then again. Text messages, emails, voicemails. The first waves of the tsunami she couldn't stop. She looked down at her $30,000 jacket, at her diamond earrings, at the empty chairs where her investors had been sitting. And she finally understood what Emma Chen must have felt in those last moments. The absolute certainty that everything was over. In the parking lot behind the Obsidian Room, Marcus Chen sat in his 12-year-old Honda Civic and finally let himself break down. He sobbed like he hadn't sobbed since the day of Emma's funeral. Great heaving cries that shook his whole body. Tears and snot and sounds that came from somewhere so deep he didn't even know it existed. I did it, Emma, he whispered between sobs. I did it. It's over. His phone buzzed. A text from his neighbor. Lily fell asleep on the couch watching Frozen again. Take your time. Marcus smiled through his tears. His little girl. The only reason he had kept going when everything inside him wanted to stop. He started the car and pulled out of the parking lot. Tomorrow, the world would be different. Tomorrow, Victoria Kane's face would be on every news channel. Tomorrow, investigators would start picking apart her empire piece by piece. Tomorrow, victims who had been silenced for years would finally have their voices heard. But tonight, Marcus Chen was just a father driving home to his daughter, a father who had finally kept his promise. The next morning started like any other in the Chen household. Marcus woke at 5:47 a.m., 3 minutes before his alarm. Old habit from his prosecutor days. He lay in bed for a moment, listening to the silence of the small apartment, wondering if the previous night had been real or just another dream. Then his phone buzzed. Then again. Then it didn't stop. He grabbed it from the nightstand. 47 text messages, 23 missed calls, over 100 emails. And his voicemail was completely full. It was real. He scrolled through the notifications. News alerts about Victoria Kane, messages from former colleagues, calls from numbers he didn't recognize, and one text from David, his manager at the Obsidian Room. Marcus, I don't know what to say. Call me when you can. You're not fired. You're a hero. Marcus let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. He got out of bed and padded down the hall to Lily's room. She was still asleep, her dark hair spread across her pillow like a fan, her stuffed elephant clutched tightly against her chest. Emma had given her that elephant the day she was born. Marcus watched his daughter breathe for a long moment. In, out, in, out. The simple miracle of a child sleeping peacefully. "Hey, sweetheart," he whispered. "Time to wake up." Lily's eyes fluttered open. She smiled when she saw her father. "Morning, Daddy." "Morning, baby girl. Want some pancakes?" Lily sat up suddenly excited. "With chocolate chips. Is there any other kind?" While Lily got dressed, Marcus started making breakfast. The pancake batter was lumpy and the chocolate chips were unevenly distributed. But Lily didn't care. She never cared. She just loved spending time with her father. They sat together at the small kitchen table, Lily chattering about school and her friends, and whether elephants could really swim when she suddenly stopped mid-sentence. "Daddy." "Yeah, baby. Why is your face on TV?" Marcus turned. The small television on the kitchen counter, usually tuned to cartoons, was showing a news broadcast. His employee photo from the Obsidian Room filled the screen. Behind the news anchor, the headline read, "Waiter exposes billionaire fraud in viral restaurant confrontation." "Oh," Marcus said quietly. "That's complicated." "Did you do something bad?" Marcus looked at his daughter, at her innocent eyes, at the face that looked so much like Emma's. "No, sweetheart. Daddy did something good. Something he should have done a long time ago." "What did you do?" Marcus reached across the table and took his daughter's hand. "Remember how Mommy went to heaven?" Lily's face grew serious. "Yes. Well, there was a bad person who hurt Mommy, who made Mommy very sad, and last night Daddy told the truth about that bad person. So now the bad person can't hurt anyone else." Lily processed this information with the gravity that only a 7-year-old can muster. "Is the bad person going to go to jail?" "Maybe. Probably. I hope so." "Good." Lily nodded firmly. "They should go to jail forever and ever." Marcus smiled. "Eat your pancakes, baby." The morning continued. Marcus helped Lily brush her teeth. He braided her hair the way Emma used to, although his braids were never quite as neat. He walked her to the bus stop and waited until the yellow bus swallowed her up and drove away. Then he went back inside and finally looked at his phone. The first voicemail was from Diana Park at the SEC. "Mr. Chen, this is Diana Park. I've been trying to build a case against Victoria Kane for 3 years. What you did last night. I don't have words. Please call me back. We need to talk." The second was from a law firm he recognized, Morrison and Associates, one of the biggest in Manhattan. "Mr. Chen, my name is Robert Morrison. We represent several of Kane's former victims. We'd like to discuss the possibility of a class action lawsuit, and frankly, we'd like to discuss the possibility of you leading it. Please call at your earliest convenience." The third was from a number he didn't recognize. Mr. Chen, my name is James Tanaka. We met last night at the Obsidian Room. I wanted to thank you personally for what you did. You saved me from making a terrible mistake. I'd like to discuss an opportunity with you. Please call me. Marcus sat down heavily on his couch. 18 months of being invisible. 18 months of serving drinks and clearing plates and pretending to be nobody. And now in less than 12 hours, everything had changed. His phone rang again. This time he answered. Hello. Mr. Chen. This is Rachel from CNN. We'd like to do an exclusive interview about last night. Would you be available? No comment. He hung up. The phone rang again. Mr. Chen? This is Tom from... No comment. He hung up again. This continued for 20 minutes. NBC, ABC, Fox News, The New York Times, The Wall Street Journal. Everyone wanted a piece of Marcus Chen. Finally, there was a knock at his door. Marcus froze. He wasn't expecting anyone. And after last night, he wasn't sure who might come looking for him. He approached the door carefully. Looked through the peephole. David, his manager from the Obsidian Room, stood in the hallway holding 2 cups of coffee. Marcus opened the door. David, what are you doing here? I figured you'd be hiding from reporters, David said. Thought you could use some real coffee instead of that instant garbage I know you drink. Marcus almost smiled. How did you know where I live? Employee records. Don't worry, I'm not a stalker. I just wanted to check on you. He handed Marcus one of the coffees. Marcus took it gratefully. Thanks. Can I come in? Marcus hesitated, then stepped aside. David entered the small apartment, looking around with undisguised curiosity. So this is where the famous Marcus Chen lives. It's not much. It's home. David sat down on the couch. Marcus, I need to ask you something. Okay. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell anyone who you really were? Marcus sat down across from him. Because I wasn't Marcus Chen, the prosecutor, anymore. I was Marcus Chen, the waiter, the single dad, the guy just trying to survive. But you had 2 Ivy League degrees. You could have worked anywhere. I didn't want to work anywhere. I wanted to work at the Obsidian Room, because that's where Victoria Kane liked to do business. David's eyes widened. You planned this. All of it. Not all of it. I didn't plan for her to throw water in my face, but I'd been waiting for an opportunity, a moment when I could expose her in front of the people who mattered most. The investors. Exactly. I knew she was close to closing a major deal. I knew she'd bring them to the restaurant. I just had to be patient. David shook his head slowly. 18 months. You worked as a waiter for 18 months just waiting for the right moment. 18 months isn't long. Not when you've lost everything. Not when the person responsible is walking around free while your daughter asks every night why mommy isn't coming home. David was quiet for a long moment. I'm sorry about your wife, Marcus. I didn't know. Nobody knew. That was the point. What happens now? Marcus took a sip of his coffee. It was good. Much better than his instant garbage. Now I try to figure out who I'm supposed to be. For 18 months, I was invisible. I was nobody. And now you're the man who brought down Victoria Kane. I didn't bring her down. The truth did. I just made sure people heard it. David smiled. That's very humble. It's accurate. Well, for what it's worth, I think you're a hero. And I'm not the only one. He pulled out his phone and showed Marcus the screen. Social media was exploding. #Justice. For Emma was trending nationally. Videos of the confrontation had millions of views. And everywhere people were sharing stories of their own encounters with Victoria Kane. She hurt a lot of people, David said. And you gave them permission to speak. Marcus stared at the phone, at the names, the faces, the stories. He thought about Emma, about the day they met in medical school, about their first date at a terrible Italian restaurant where the pasta was overcooked and the wine was cheap and neither of them cared because they were so busy talking. About their wedding day when she looked at him like he was the most important person in the world. About the moment Lily was born, when Emma held their daughter for the first time and cried tears of pure joy. About the morning she didn't come home. About the note on the kitchen table. About the funeral where he stood with Lily's hand in his and wondered how he was supposed to go on living. "I miss her," Marcus said quietly. "Every day, every moment. I miss her so much it feels like there's a hole in my chest that will never heal." David didn't say anything. He just sat there bearing witness. "But last night," Marcus continued, "for the first time since she died, I felt like maybe the hole got a little smaller. Like maybe I actually did something that mattered." His phone rang again. He looked at the screen. It was a number he recognized. Diana Park from the SEC. "I should take this," he said. David stood. "I'll let myself out. Marcus." "Yeah. Whatever you decide to do next, I hope you know that what you did last night was extraordinary, not just because you exposed a criminal, but because you proved that sometimes the little guy can win. Sometimes David really does beat Goliath." Marcus nodded. "Thanks, David." David left, closing the door softly behind him. Marcus answered the phone. "Ms. Park, I got your message." "Mr. Chen, thank you for calling back. I'll get straight to the point. We've been investigating Victoria Kane for 3 years, but we could never get enough evidence to move forward. What you have changes everything. The recordings alone could result in multiple federal charges." "I'm aware. We need your cooperation, your testimony, your evidence. Will you help us?" Marcus thought about Emma, about Lily, about all the people Victoria Kane had destroyed. "Yes," he said. "I'll help you." "Thank you, Mr. Chen. Can you come to our offices tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock? "I'll be there." He hung up the phone. His hands were shaking. Not from fear, not from anxiety, from something else entirely. Purpose. For 18 months he had been surviving, going through the motions, existing without really living. But now finally, he had a reason to keep going beyond just getting through another day. He had unfinished business, and he was going to see it through. If you or someone you know is having a difficult time, free support is available. Find resources. The SEC headquarters in Lower Manhattan felt exactly like Marcus remembered from his prosecutor days. Sterile hallways, fluorescent lights, the quiet hum of government bureaucracy grinding forward at its own relentless pace. Diana Park met him in the lobby. She was younger than he expected, maybe mid-30s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and a handshake that meant business. "Mr. Chen, thank you for coming." "Call me Marcus." "Marcus, follow me." They walked through security past rows of cubicles into a conference room where 3 other people were already waiting. 2 men in suits who looked like they hadn't slept in days. 1 woman with silver hair and the kind of posture that said she'd been doing this longer than anyone else in the room. "This is Agent Morrison and Agent Peters from the FBI, Diana said, gesturing to the men. "And this is Commissioner Williams. She's overseeing the entire investigation." Marcus shook hands with each of them. Commissioner Williams held his grip a moment longer than necessary. "Mr. Chen," she said, "I've been trying to nail Victoria Kane for 7 years. 7 years of watching her destroy people while we couldn't touch her. And you did more damage in 15 minutes than we did in almost a decade. I had motivation you didn't have. Your wife. Yes, we know." Commissioner Williams gestured to a chair. "Please, sit. We have a lot to discuss." Marcus sat. The FBI agents opened laptops. Diana spread files across the conference table. Commissioner Williams remained standing, her arms crossed. "Let's start with what you have," she said. "Diana tells me you've been gathering evidence for 18 months. Marcus pulled out his phone. "Recordings, 237 hours of conversations at the Obsidian Room. Victoria Kane discussed business at that restaurant constantly. She thought she was safe because she was surrounded by wealthy people who would never betray her circle. She didn't count on a waiter with a law degree, Agent Morrison said. She didn't count on a waiter at all. That's the point. Marcus connected his phone to the room's display system. The first recording began to play. Victoria's voice filled the room discussing a real estate deal in Miami. "The environmental reports are garbage," Victoria said on the recording. "Of course, I know the land is contaminated. That's why we're getting it so cheap. By the time anyone figures it out, the buildings will be sold, will be gone, and whoever's left holding the bag can deal with the lawsuits." Agent Peters leaned forward. "When was this recorded?" "November 14th of last year. She was talking to her CFO and 2 lawyers. "Jesus Christ," Agent Morrison muttered. "That's just the beginning," Marcus said. "I have recordings of her discussing bribes to city officials in 3 different states, evidence of falsified documents submitted to investors, conversations about hiding assets in offshore accounts, and detailed discussions about how she destroyed my wife's company." Commissioner Williams finally sat down. "Play that one." Marcus found the file. His hands trembled slightly as he pressed play. Victoria's voice again, laughing this time. "MedHope, that little pharmaceutical startup. Please, Emma Chen was a nuisance. She had patents I wanted, and she refused to sell, so I made her life hell. Lawsuits, investor pressure, a few well-placed lies to the FDA about her clinical trials. She crumbled in 14 months. Easiest takedown I've ever done." Another voice, her attorney. "What happened to her?" "Who cares? She's gone. That's all that matters. I got the patents, sold them to Pfizer for $80 million, and moved on. That's how business works." Marcus stopped the recording. His jaw was clenched so tight it hurt. The room was silent. "She didn't even know Emma died," Marcus said quietly. "She destroyed my wife's life, drove her to suicide, and she didn't even bother to find out what happened. Emma was just collateral damage, a nuisance that disappeared." Diana reached across the table and touched his hand. "I'm sorry, Marcus." "Don't be sorry. Be effective. Make sure she pays for what she did." Commissioner Williams nodded slowly. "With this evidence, we can build a case that will put Victoria Kane away for decades. Securities fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit bribery, and possibly involuntary manslaughter depending on how the courts interpret her role in your wife's death." "Involuntary manslaughter," Marcus repeated. "That's not enough. It might be all we can prove legally, but combined with everything else, she'll never see the outside of a prison cell again." Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about Emma, about the morning he found the note, about identifying her body at the morgue while Lily waited at home with his mother, not understanding why Daddy was crying. "When do we start?" "We already have. Based on your recordings, we obtained emergency warrants last night. FBI agents are currently executing search warrants at Kane Enterprises headquarters, Victoria's personal residence, and 3 of her satellite offices. Her assets are being frozen as we speak." Marcus opened his eyes. "She'll fight back. She has an army of lawyers." "Let her fight," Commissioner Williams said. "For the first time in 7 years, we have her dead to rights, thanks to you." The meeting continued for 3 more hours. Marcus walked them through every recording, every piece of evidence, every connection he had documented during his 18 months undercover. The FBI agents took notes furiously. Diana organized the evidence into categories. Commissioner Williams asked questions that cut to the heart of each issue. By the time they finished, Marcus felt emptied out, hollow, like he had poured everything he had onto that conference table, and there was nothing left inside him. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we build the case," Diana said. "It'll take months, maybe a year, but the wheels are in motion. Victoria Kane's empire is already collapsing. Her stock dropped 43% this morning. Her board of directors called an emergency meeting. 3 of her major investors have announced they're withdrawing from all current projects. And in the meantime, Commissioner Williams stood. In the meantime, you should be careful. Victoria Kane is desperate now. Desperate people do dangerous things. I can take care of myself. I'm sure you can. But you have a daughter to think about. We can arrange protection if you'd like. Marcus thought about Lily, about her smile, about the way she held his hand when they walked to the bus stop. Yes, I'd like that. Diana walked him back to the lobby. At the security checkpoint, she stopped. Marcus, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you wait? You had this evidence for months. You could have brought it to us any time. Why wait until last night? Marcus considered the question. He had asked himself the same thing 1,000 times. Because evidence alone doesn't destroy someone like Victoria Kane. She has lawyers who could tie up court cases for years. She has money to make problems disappear. She has connections in every industry, every government agency, every media outlet. So what changed? She threw water in my face and called me a nobody in front of the people she needed most. She gave me an audience of investors who were about to trust her with billions of dollars, and she gave me a reason to speak that no one could dismiss as a disgruntled employee or a competitor with an agenda. Diana nodded slowly. You turned her cruelty into her downfall. She turned her cruelty into her downfall. I just made sure everyone was watching when it happened. Marcus walked out of the building into the bright morning sun. His phone was still buzzing with messages and calls from reporters. He ignored them all. He had one call to make. His mother answered on the second ring. Marcus, I've been watching the news all morning. Are you okay? I'm okay, Mom. Is Lily with you? She's in the backyard playing. She doesn't understand what's happening, but she knows something is different. She asked me why Daddy was famous. Marcus smiled despite everything. What did you tell her? I told her that her father is a brave man who did something important. Was that okay? That was perfect, Mom. Listen, I need you to keep Lily for a few more days. Things are going to be complicated for a while. Of course. Take all the time you need. Marcus? Yeah? I'm proud of you. Emma would be proud of you too. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Thanks, Mom. He hung up and sat down on a bench outside the SEC building. For a long moment, he just breathed. In, out, in, out. 18 months of planning. 18 months of patience. 18 months of being invisible. And now it was done. Except it wasn't. Not really. Victoria Kane was wounded, but she wasn't finished. And wounded predators were the most dangerous kind. His phone rang. Unknown number. Probably another reporter. He answered anyway. Mr. Chen. The voice was female, cold, familiar. Marcus sat up straight. Ms. Kane. Don't hang up. I think we should talk. I have nothing to say to you. Then listen. That's something you're clearly very good at. Marcus said nothing. He waited. You think you've won, Victoria continued. You think you've destroyed me, but you have no idea what you've started. I have resources you can't imagine, connections that reach into every corner of every institution that matters. Do you really think a few recordings are going to bring me down? I think they already have. Your stock is in freefall. Your investors are running. Your board is probably voting to remove you as we speak. Temporary setbacks. I've survived worse. Have you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like your entire world is collapsing. There was a pause. When Victoria spoke again, her voice had changed. Softer, almost vulnerable. What do you want, Marcus? What would it take to make this go away? Make it go away. Everyone has a price. Money, I can make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. A position at one of my companies. Name your salary. Anything you want. Just tell me what it would take. Marcus laughed. It was a bitter, hollow sound. You really don't understand. Do you? You can't buy your way out of this. You can't make a deal. You can't offer me anything I want because the only thing I wanted you already took from me. Your wife. I'm sorry about your wife, I truly am. But that was business. It wasn't personal. It was personal to Emma. It was personal to Lily. It was personal to me. And now it's going to be personal to every victim you've ever created, because they're all going to have their day in court. Marcus, please. Let's meet. Face to face. I'm sure we can work something out. We already met face to face, Ms. Kane, at the Obsidian Room. Remember, you threw water in my face and called me a nobody. You said I was stupid, uneducated, replaceable. I was wrong. Obviously. I made a mistake. No. You revealed who you really are. And that's the problem. You've been revealing who you are for decades. You just never thought anyone was paying attention. Marcus stood up from the bench. Goodbye, Ms. Kane. The next time we speak, it will be in a courtroom. He hung up before she could respond. His hands were shaking again. Not from fear. From anger. From the audacity of this woman trying to buy her way out of consequences even now. He walked to his car and drove home. The apartment felt different when he entered. Smaller somehow. Emptier. He had lived here for 18 months, but it had never felt like home. It was just a place to sleep between shifts. A place to be invisible. He walked to the small table by the window where he kept a framed photo of Emma. She was laughing in the picture, her hair blown by wind, her eyes full of joy. It was taken on their honeymoon in Hawaii. 3 weeks of paradise before they returned to real life. Marcus picked up the frame and held it. I did it, Em, he whispered. I kept my promise. She's going to pay for what she did to you. The photo didn't answer. It never did. But somehow Marcus felt like Emma heard him anyway. His phone buzzed. A text from David at the restaurant. Media circus outside the Obsidian Room. Everyone wants to see where it happened. Management is thrilled. You've made us the most famous restaurant in the city. Marcus shook his head. Fame was the last thing he wanted. He just wanted justice. And maybe eventually peace. Another buzz. This time from a number he didn't recognize. Mr. Chen. My name is Thomas Reynolds. I was one of Victoria Kane's victims. She destroyed my construction company in 2019. I've been silent for years because I was afraid. After what you did, I'm not afraid anymore. I want to tell my story. Can we talk? Then another. Marcus. My name is Jennifer Wu. Victoria Kane ruined my father's business when I was 16. He had a heart attack from the stress and died 3 months later. I've been waiting for someone to stop her. Thank you. And another. Mr. Chen. I'm a reporter with the Washington Post. We've been investigating Victoria Kane for 2 years, but could never get anyone to go on the record. Now we have dozens of people who want to talk. Your courage has changed everything. Marcus stared at his phone. Message after message, story after story. All the people Victoria Kane had hurt over the years finally finding their voices. He thought about what David had said. Sometimes the little guy really does beat Goliath. Maybe. Or maybe it was just that Goliath had finally picked the wrong fight. He spent the rest of the afternoon responding to messages, connecting victims with the SEC investigators, talking to reporters off the record, building a network of people who had been waiting years for this moment. At 6 o'clock, his mother called. Marcus, you need to turn on the television, Channel 4. He found the remote and clicked on the small TV in his kitchen. Victoria Kane's face filled the screen. She was standing outside her Manhattan penthouse surrounded by microphones and cameras. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was flawless. Her eyes were dead. I want to address the malicious lies that have been spread about me and my company, she said. The allegations made by a disgruntled former employee are completely false. I have committed no crimes. I have hurt no one. This is a coordinated attack by competitors who want to destroy everything I've built. A reporter shouted a question. Ms. Kane, the SEC has announced a formal investigation. The FBI executed search warrants this morning. How do you respond? I welcome any investigation. I have nothing to hide. When the truth comes out, I will be fully vindicated. Another reporter. What about Marcus Chen? He says you destroyed his wife's company and drove her to suicide. Victoria's face flickered. Just for a moment. Just enough. I have no comment on that individual or his wild accusations. This is America. Anyone can say anything. That doesn't make it true. Do you deny that MedHope was deliberately targeted by your company? I deny nothing and confirm nothing. My lawyers will handle all legal matters. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. She turned and walked back into her building. The cameras followed her until the doors closed. Marcus turned off the television. She was fighting back. Of course she was. Victoria Kane had spent 40 years clawing her way to the top. She wasn't going to surrender without a war, but she had already lost. She just didn't know it yet. His phone rang. Diana Park. You watching the news? Just turned it off. She's putting on a brave face, but her world is crumbling. We've already found evidence of falsified documents in the files seized from her headquarters. Her CFO is negotiating a cooperation agreement in exchange for immunity, and her board just voted unanimously to suspend her as CEO pending the investigation. She's been suspended. Effective immediately, the announcement goes public in an hour. Marcus sat down heavily on his couch. Suspended. Victoria Kane stripped of her power, her throne pulled out from under her. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Nothing would bring Emma back. But it was something. It was a start. Marcus, are you still there? I'm here. There's something else, something I need to tell you in person. Can you come back to the office tomorrow? What is it? I'd rather not say on the phone, just come tomorrow, 9 o'clock. It's important. She hung up. Marcus stared at his phone. What else could there possibly be? He didn't sleep well that night. Dreams of Emma. Of Lily. Of Victoria Kane's face when she realized who he really was. Everything mixed together in a chaos of memory and fear and hope. At 3 in the morning, he gave up on sleep and sat at his kitchen table with a cup of coffee, watching the city lights through his window. 18 months ago, he had been a broken man, a widower, a single father with nothing left but grief and anger and a desperate need for justice. Now he was something else. He didn't know what yet, but something had changed inside him. The hole in his chest didn't feel quite as deep. The weight on his shoulders didn't feel quite as heavy. He thought about what his mother had said. Emma would be proud. He hoped so. God, he hoped so. At 7 o'clock he showered and dressed. At 8 he was in his car driving back to the SEC headquarters. At 9 he was sitting in the same conference room as yesterday, across from Diana Park and Commissioner Williams. Thank you for coming, Diana said. I have something to show you. She slid a folder across the table. Marcus opened it. Inside were documents, financial records, bank statements, transaction histories. What am I looking at? These were found in Victoria Kane's private safe last night. Hidden accounts, offshore holdings. But that's not the important part. Look at the highlighted transactions. Marcus scanned the pages until he found the yellow highlights. His breath caught in his throat. This can't be right. We've verified it 3 times. It's right. The document showed a series of wire transfers, large amounts, sent to a specific account. An account in Emma Chen's name. I don't understand, Marcus said. Emma never had an account like this. I would have known. She didn't. Victoria Kane opened it. After MedHope collapsed, she transferred $2 million into an account using your wife's identity. We believe she was planning to use it as leverage, evidence of hidden assets, something to discredit Emma if she ever tried to fight back. Marcus's hands were shaking. Emma had nothing. She lost everything. She thought she was a failure. She thought she had let everyone down. And the whole time, Victoria Kane had already set up a backup plan to destroy her reputation even further if needed. Commissioner Williams leaned forward. Mr. Chen, This changes things. This isn't just fraud. This is identity theft. This is financial manipulation with intent to harm. Combined with everything else, we're looking at a pattern of criminal behavior that goes far beyond what we originally suspected. Marcus couldn't speak. He was staring at Emma's name on the documents. Her signature forged, her identity stolen, her memory violated. "There's more," Diana said gently. "We found evidence that Victoria Kane knew about Emma's mental state. Emails between Kane and her attorneys discussing how to maximize pressure, how to push harder, how to break her. They knew she was struggling, and they deliberately made it worse. Yes." Marcus closed the folder. He couldn't look at it anymore. What does this mean for the case? It means Victoria Kane isn't just facing fraud charges. She's facing charges that could include criminal harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and potentially second-degree manslaughter. If we can prove she deliberately targeted your wife, knowing the psychological damage it would cause, she could be charged with murder. Not murder, but close, very close. Marcus stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Millions of people going about their lives, working, loving, struggling, surviving. Emma should have been one of them. "I need some air," he said. "Of course, take all the time you need." He walked out of the conference room through the sterile hallways past the security checkpoint into the bright morning sun. He found a bench and sat down. And for the first time since the night at the Obsidian Room, Marcus Chen allowed himself to hope. Not just for justice, not just for punishment, but for something more. Something that felt almost like peace. His phone buzzed. A picture message from his mother. Lily, covered in finger paint, grinning at the camera with a masterpiece she had created. A drawing of 3 stick figures. 2 big ones small. The big ones had wings. The caption read, "Mommy and Daddy watching over Lily." Marcus smiled through his tears. "I'm trying, Em," he whispered to the sky. "I'm trying to make it right." Somewhere in the distance, a bird sang. And Marcus Chen sat in the morning sun, holding his phone, looking at his daughter's drawing, and finally beginning to believe that maybe, just maybe, the worst was behind him. He didn't know yet that Victoria Kane had one more card to play, and she was about to play it. The call came 3 hours later. Marcus was still sitting on the bench outside the SEC building when his phone rang. His mother's number. He answered immediately. "Mom, is everything okay?" "Marcus." Her voice was strange, tight, controlled. "There's someone here who wants to talk to you." His blood turned to ice. "Mom, what's going on? Where's Lily?" "She's here. She's fine. But there's a woman. She says her name is Victoria Kane. She says she needs to speak with you." Marcus was already running toward his car. "Don't let her near Lily. Do you understand me? Don't let her anywhere near my daughter." "Marcus, she's not threatening anyone. She just showed up at the door. She says she wants to talk. That's all." "I'm on my way. 20 minutes. Don't let her leave." He hung up and sprinted across the parking lot. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely get the key in the ignition. Victoria Kane at his mother's house. Victoria Kane near his daughter. The woman who had destroyed Emma standing in the same room as Lily. He broke every speed limit between Manhattan and his mother's home in Queens. Red lights meant nothing. Stop signs were suggestions. He drove like a man possessed, because that's exactly what he was. 18 minutes later, he pulled into his mother's driveway. There was a black Mercedes parked on the street. Victoria's car. She was really here. Marcus didn't bother to lock his Honda. He ran to the front door and burst inside. His mother was sitting in the living room. Victoria Kane sat across from her in the armchair by the window. And Lily was on the floor between them playing with her dolls, completely unaware of the tension crackling through the air. "Daddy!" Lily jumped up and ran to him. Marcus caught her in his arms and held her tight. "Hey, sweetheart, are you okay?" "I'm fine, Daddy," The fancy lady brought me a present. Look." She held up a stuffed elephant, brand new, expensive. Marcus's jaw clenched. He set Lily down gently. "Sweetheart, why don't you go play in your room for a little while? Daddy needs to talk to the fancy lady." "But I want to show her my drawings." "Later, baby. I promise. Go on now." Lily looked disappointed, but obeyed, taking her new elephant with her. Marcus waited until he heard her footsteps on the stairs. Then he turned to face Victoria Kane. She looked different than she had at the restaurant. Smaller somehow. The expensive clothes were the same, but the armor of confidence had cracked. Her makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. Her hands were folded in her lap, but Marcus could see them trembling. "Get out of my mother's house." "Marcus, please, I just want to talk." "You came to my mother's home. You came near my daughter. After everything you've done, you thought this was acceptable. I didn't know how else to reach you. You won't take my calls. Your lawyers won't talk to my lawyers. I was desperate." Marcus laughed bitterly. "Desperate? That's rich. 2 days ago, you threw water in my face and called me a nobody. Now you're desperate." His mother stood up. "I'll be in the kitchen." Marcus tried to stay calm. "I make no promises, Mom." She left the room. Marcus remained standing, his arms crossed, his eyes never leaving Victoria's face. "Talk. You have 5 minutes." Victoria took a shaky breath. "I know you hate me. You have every right to. What I did to your wife was inexcusable. Is this an apology? Because if it is, save it. I don't want your apologies." "It's not an apology. It's an explanation and a warning." "A warning." Victoria leaned forward. "Marcus, you've started something you don't understand. You think you're fighting one woman, one company. But you're not. Kane Enterprises is connected to everything. Politicians, judges, media executives, law enforcement, people I've done favors for over 30 years. Is this supposed to scare me? It's supposed to inform you. The evidence you gave to the SEC, the recordings, the documents, some of my associates are very unhappy about what's in there. And they're not as civilized as I am." Marcus felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "Are you threatening me? I'm trying to protect you. And your daughter. By coming to my mother's house, by bringing gifts for Lily. That's not protection. That's intimidation." Victoria shook her head. "If I wanted to intimidate you, I wouldn't have come myself. I would have sent someone else, someone who doesn't ring doorbells." The words hung in the air between them. "What exactly are you saying?" Victoria stood up slowly. She walked to the window and looked out at the quiet suburban street. "There are people in my organization who solve problems. That's their job. That's what they're paid for. When the FBI started their investigation, some of these people came to me with suggestions. Ways to make the problem disappear." "You mean ways to make me disappear?" "You, the investigators, anyone who became inconvenient." She turned to face him. "I said no. I've done terrible things in my life, Marcus. I've destroyed companies. I've ruined careers. I've hurt people in ways I can never take back. But I've never had anyone killed. That's a line I won't cross." "How noble of you." "It's not nobility. It's pragmatism. Dead witnesses create more problems than living ones. And dead children create headlines that never go away." Marcus felt his hands curl into fists. "If you're telling me someone wants to hurt my daughter?" "I'm telling you that I've lost control of my own organization. The board suspended me yesterday. My CFO is cooperating with the FBI. My lawyers are abandoning ship. The people who used to follow my orders are now making their own decisions. And some of them are very angry at the man who brought everything crashing down." "Then why are you here? Why tell me this?" Victoria walked back to the armchair but didn't sit. She stood behind it, gripping the back like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "Because despite what you think of me, I'm not a monster. I'm a businesswoman who made terrible choices. I hurt your wife. I hurt your family. I hurt dozens of families, and I'll probably spend the rest of my life in prison for it. but I won't be responsible for anything happening to that little girl upstairs. Her name is Lily. I know, she told me. She also told me that her mommy is an angel now and that her daddy works really hard to take care of her. Victoria's voice cracked slightly. I never had children, Marcus. I chose my career over everything else. I told myself it was worth it. I told myself that power and money were better than family and love. I was wrong. I see that now. I see it every time I look at what I've become. Marcus didn't know what to say. He had spent 18 months hating this woman, dreaming of her destruction, plotting her downfall. And now she was standing in his mother's living room, warning him about threats he hadn't even considered. Who specifically should I be worried about? A man named Richard Holbrook. He's been my head of security for 15 years. He knows where all the bodies are buried, literally and figuratively. And he knows that if I go to prison, so does he. He's not the type to go quietly. Have you told the FBI about him? I'm telling you first, because the FBI moves slowly, and Holbrook doesn't. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm calling Diana Park right now. Good, do that. But also get your daughter somewhere safe, tonight. Don't wait. Where am I supposed to take her? Anywhere that isn't connected to you. A friend's house, a hotel under a different name. Just not here and not your apartment. Marcus's mind was racing. His mother, Lily, his own safety. Everything he had worked for could be destroyed in an instant if Victoria was telling the truth. Why should I believe you? This could be a trick, a way to distract me or make me paranoid. Victoria looked at him with something that might have been respect. You're smart. I underestimated you. But think about it, Marcus. What do I gain by lying to you right now? My empire is already destroyed. My reputation is gone. I'm going to prison no matter what happens. The only thing I can do now is try to prevent more damage. Redemption. Nothing that dramatic. Call it damage control. Or call it the last decent thing I'll ever do. I don't care what you call it. Just protect your daughter. She picked up her purse from the floor and walked toward the door. At the threshold, she stopped. I'm sorry about Emma. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know it doesn't change anything. But I'm sorry. She didn't deserve what I did to her. And you didn't deserve what happened because of it. She walked out of the house without waiting for a response. Marcus stood in the living room, his phone still in his hand, trying to process what had just happened. Victoria Kane had come to warn him. Victoria Kane had apologized. Victoria Kane had shown something that looked almost like humanity. He didn't trust it. He couldn't trust it. But he also couldn't ignore it. He called Diana Park. Marcus, what's wrong? Victoria Kane just came to my mother's house. She says there's a man named Richard Holbrook who might try to hurt me or my family. She says he's her former head of security and he's desperate. There was a pause. Holbrook. Yes, we know about him. He's been on our radar, but we haven't been able to locate him since the warrants were executed. Are you safe right now? I'm at my mother's house. My daughter is here. Stay there. I'm sending agents immediately. Don't leave until they arrive. Diana, what do you know about Holbrook? He's dangerous, Marcus. Very dangerous. He's been Victoria's fixer for years. The kind of man who makes problems disappear. If he's targeting you, you need protection. She warned me. Victoria warned me about him. That's interesting. Either she's having a crisis of conscience, or she's playing some kind of game I don't understand yet. Either way, stay put. Help is on the way. She hung up. Marcus went to the stairs. Lily, can you come down here, sweetheart? Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, still holding her new elephant. Yes, Daddy. We're going to have an adventure tonight. How would you like to go stay somewhere fun? What kind of adventure? A surprise adventure. Go pack some clothes, okay? And your favorite toys. Is Grandma coming? Marcus looked at his mother, who had emerged from the kitchen. She nodded. Yes, baby. Grandma's coming too. Now hurry up. We need to leave soon. Lily disappeared into her room, excited about the unexpected adventure. His mother approached him. Marcus, what's going on? What did that woman say to you? She said we might be in danger. Mom, someone from her organization might try to hurt us. His mother's face went pale. Hurt us who? I don't know exactly, but the FBI is sending people to protect us. In the meantime, we need to get somewhere safe. Where? Marcus thought quickly. David, my manager from the restaurant. He has a cabin upstate. He offered it to me once when I needed to get away. Nobody knows about my connection to him. It's not on any records. Are you sure we can trust him? He's the closest thing I've had to a friend in 18 months, Mom. Yeah, I trust him. He called David. Marcus, is everything okay? You sound stressed. David, I need a favor, a big one. Your cabin upstate, is it empty right now? Yeah, why? I need to take my daughter and my mother there, tonight. Someone might be trying to hurt us. David didn't hesitate. I'll text you the address and the door code. Stay as long as you need. Is there anything else I can do? Just don't tell anyone where we are. No one. Of course. Be safe, Marcus. But 20 minutes later, 2 FBI agents arrived at the house. They were young and serious with the kind of alertness that came from training for exactly these situations. Mr. Chen, I'm Agent Williams. This is Agent Rodriguez. We're here to escort you to a safe location. I have my own safe location. A cabin upstate. No connection to me in any records. Agent Williams considered this. That might actually be better than our options. Less predictable. We'll follow you and secure the perimeter once we arrive. They loaded into cars. Marcus drove with Lily and his mother. The FBI agents followed in their unmarked sedan. The drive took 3 hours, most of it in tense silence. Lily fell asleep in the back seat, clutching her elephant. His mother finally spoke. Marcus, I need to ask you something. What is it, Mom? Was it worth it? Everything you did. The 18 months of hiding. The confrontation. All of this danger. Was it worth it? Marcus thought about the question. He had asked himself the same thing 1,000 times. Emma is dead because of Victoria Kane. If I had done nothing, Kane would still be destroying families. She would still be hurting people. She would have gotten away with everything. But now your daughter might be in danger because of what you did. Lily is in danger because Victoria Kane created people like Richard Holbrook, because she built an empire on cruelty and corruption. That's not my fault. That's her legacy. His mother was quiet for a moment. I'm proud of you, Marcus. I want you to know that. Your father would be proud too. Dad always said to stand up for what's right even when it's hard. He did, and you did. Whatever happens next, you did the right thing. They arrived at David's cabin around midnight. It was isolated, surrounded by trees invisible from the main road. The FBI agents swept the property before declaring it secure. Marcus carried Lily inside and put her to bed in one of the small bedrooms. His mother took the other bedroom. Marcus sat in the living room with Agent Williams. We'll maintain a perimeter throughout the night, Williams said. Rodriguez and I will take shifts. If anyone approaches the property, we'll know. Thank you. Mr. Chen, I want you to know that what you did took courage. Everyone at the Bureau is talking about it. You brought down someone we've been trying to catch for years. I didn't do it for recognition. I know. You did it for your wife. That's why it matters. Williams went outside to begin his patrol. Marcus sat alone in the dark cabin, listening to the sounds of the forest, trying to slow his racing heart. Somewhere out there, a man named Richard Holbrook was planning something. Victoria Kane had lost control of her empire, and the wolves were circling. And Marcus Chen was sitting in a cabin with his 7-year-old daughter and his elderly mother, protected by 2 FBI agents against threats he couldn't see. He thought about Emma. About the way she used to laugh at his jokes even when they weren't funny. About the way she held Lily as a baby, singing lullabies in a voice that could heal anything. About the last morning he ever saw her when she kissed him goodbye and said she loved him and walked out the door forever. I'm scared, Em, he whispered to the empty room. I'm scared that I've put everyone in danger. I'm scared that this isn't going to end the way I hoped." The room didn't answer. The forest didn't answer. But somewhere deep inside himself, Marcus felt a warmth that he recognized. It was the same warmth he felt whenever he thought about Emma. The same warmth that told him he wasn't alone, even when he felt completely isolated. He closed his eyes and tried to rest. At 3:47 a.m., everything fell apart. The first gunshot shattered the silence like a thunderclap. Marcus was on his feet before he was fully awake. Another gunshot, then shouting, then the sound of glass breaking somewhere outside. "Daddy!" Lily's scream cut through everything else. Marcus sprinted to her room. She was sitting up in bed, her eyes wide with terror, her elephant clutched to her chest. "It's okay, baby. Daddy's here." "What's happening? What was that noise?" "We need to go. Right now. Can you be brave for me?" Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Marcus grabbed her and ran into the hallway. His mother was already there, her face pale but determined. "Back door," Marcus said. "Now." They moved through the cabin toward the rear exit. More gunshots outside. A scream that sounded like Agent Rodriguez. Marcus reached the back door and froze. A man was standing there, tall, muscular, holding a gun. Richard Holbrook. "Going somewhere, Mr. Chen?" Marcus pushed Lily behind him. "Stay behind, Daddy, sweetheart." Holbrook smiled. It was the smile of a man who had done terrible things and felt nothing. "You've caused a lot of problems. A lot of very powerful people are very unhappy with you." "Victoria sent you." "Victoria." Holbrook laughed. "Victoria's finished. She doesn't give orders anymore. I'm here on behalf of people who have more to lose than she does. People whose names were in your recordings. People who don't want to spend the rest of their lives in prison. If you kill me, the evidence still exists. The FBI has everything. The FBI has copies. But you're the star witness. Without you, the case falls apart. Without you, your recordings become hearsay. Without you, everyone walks." Marcus felt Lily trembling against his back. His mother stood frozen beside him. "Let my mother and daughter go. They have nothing to do with this." Holbrook considered this. "The woman maybe, but the girl, she's leverage. You understand leverage, don't you, mister? Chen, you're a lawyer. She's 7 years old. She's useful, that's what matters." Marcus felt rage building inside him. Pure, white-hot rage. This man was threatening his daughter. This man was willing to hurt a child to protect criminals. "You won't touch her." "I won't have to. You're going to cooperate. You're going to come with me. You're going to record a statement recanting your testimony. You're going to say you fabricated everything because of a personal grudge. And then maybe if you're convincing enough, I'll let your daughter live." "And if I refuse," Holbrook raised his gun and pointed it at Lily, "then this conversation gets shorter." "Daddy!" Lily's voice was small, terrified. Marcus felt something break inside him. Something that had been holding together through grief and rage and 18 months of careful planning. He was done being patient, done being strategic, done playing by rules that didn't protect the people he loved. "Okay," he said. "I'll cooperate." Holbrook lowered the gun slightly. "Good choice. Just let me say goodbye to my daughter first. Make it quick." Marcus turned and knelt in front of Lily. She was crying silently, her whole body shaking. "Lily, sweetheart, I need you to listen to me very carefully." "Daddy, I'm scared." "I know, baby, I know. But remember what Mommy always told you about being brave." Lily nodded through her tears. "I need you to be brave right now. I need you to run. When I say go, you run to Grandma and you don't stop. No matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you run and you don't look back." "But Daddy..." "I love you, Lily. Mommy loves you too. We love you so much. Now get ready." Marcus stood up slowly. He turned back to Holbrook. "One more thing." "What?" "Emma Chen was my wife. You work for the people who killed her, and I'm going to make sure every single one of you pays." Holbrook sneered. Brave words from a dead man. Marcus moved. He had been a decent athlete in high school. He had kept himself in shape through law school and his years as a prosecutor. But nothing had prepared him for what he did next. He launched himself at Holbrook before the other man could react. They crashed to the floor together, fighting for control of the gun. Marcus felt pain explode in his shoulder as Holbrook landed a punch. He heard Lily screaming, heard his mother shouting. "Run!" Marcus yelled. "Run now!" The gun fired. The bullet went into the ceiling. Marcus grabbed Holbrook's wrist and twisted with everything he had. Another shot. This one went into the wall. His mother grabbed Lily and fled through the front door. Marcus and Holbrook rolled across the floor, each struggling for dominance. Holbrook was stronger, but Marcus was fighting for his daughter, for Emma, for everyone Victoria Kane had ever hurt. The gun fired again. This time no one moved. Marcus lay on the floor breathing hard, waiting for the pain to tell him where the bullet had gone. He felt nothing. He looked at Holbrook. The man's eyes were wide, shocked. A dark stain was spreading across his chest. "You," Holbrook whispered. "You." He didn't finish the sentence. His head fell back. His body went limp. Marcus scrambled away from the body, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might explode. Outside he heard sirens, more shouting, voices he didn't recognize. Agent Williams appeared in the doorway, his weapon drawn. His shirt was covered in blood, but he was alive. "Mr. Chen, are you okay?" Marcus couldn't answer. He was staring at Richard Holbrook's body, at the man who had threatened to kill his daughter, at the man who was now dead because of a struggle that Marcus still couldn't fully process. "Mr. Chen. My daughter. Where's my daughter?" "She's safe. Your mother got her to the road. Backup arrived. They're both safe." Marcus felt all this strength drain out of his body. He collapsed against the wall, tears streaming down his face. "It's over," William said. "It's over." But Marcus knew better. It wasn't over yet. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Marcus sat in a plastic chair next to Lily's bed, holding her hand while she slept. The doctors had said she was physically fine, just traumatized. They had given her something to help her rest. Now she lay there small and fragile, her elephant tucked under her arm, her face peaceful in a way that seemed impossible after what she had witnessed. His mother sat in the corner, her eyes red from crying, her hands wrapped around a cup of cold coffee she hadn't touched in hours. "You should get some rest too, Mom." "I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see that man. I see the gun. He's gone now. He can't hurt us." "But there are others. You said there are others." Marcus didn't answer. She was right. Richard Holbrook was dead, but the people who had sent him were still out there. Politicians, executives, the unnamed conspirators whose names filled the recordings Victoria Kane had tried so desperately to protect. The door opened. Diana Park entered, followed by Commissioner Williams. "Mr. Chen, how is she?" "Sleeping. The doctors say she'll be okay physically. Psychologically, I don't know. She watched her father kill a man. That's not something a 7-year-old forgets." Diana sat down across from him. "You saved her life, Marcus. You saved all of them." "I killed someone. I've never killed anyone before. I don't know how to feel about that." "Feel however you need to feel, but know that you did the right thing. Holbrook was going to kill your daughter. He said it himself. You stopped him." Commissioner Williams remained standing near the door. "We need to talk about what happens next, Mr. Chen." "Can it wait?" "My daughter just survived an assassination attempt." "That's exactly why it can't wait. Holbrook wasn't working alone. We've identified 3 other operatives from Kane's organization who are still unaccounted for. And we've intercepted communications suggesting that the people who hired Holbrook aren't giving up." Marcus felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "So it's not over." "Not yet, but we're close. Victoria Kane has agreed to cooperate fully with our investigation in exchange for a reduced sentence. She's naming names, powerful names, people who have been untouchable for decades." Why would she do that? Diana leaned forward. Because of what happened tonight. When she found out that Holbrook went after your daughter, something changed. She called us directly, said she was done protecting people who would hurt children, said she wanted to tell us everything. Marcus thought about Victoria standing in his mother's living room, about the warning she had given him, about the look in her eyes when she apologized for Emma. She knew Holbrook was dangerous. She tried to warn me. She did more than that. She's given us evidence that implicates a sitting senator, 2 federal judges, and the CEO of one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. This is going to blow the case wide open. And in the meantime, what about my family? Commissioner Williams stepped forward. We're moving you to a secure federal facility until the arrests are made. Your mother and daughter will be with you, armed guards around the clock. No one gets in or out without our knowledge. For how long? A few weeks, maybe a month. We're moving as fast as we can, but we need to make sure everyone is in custody before we can guarantee your safety. Marcus looked at Lily, at her sleeping face, at the elephant she clutched like it was the only thing keeping her anchored to the world. She's been through so much. First her mother, now this. How much more is she supposed to take? Kids are resilient, Mr. Chen. More resilient than we give them credit for. She has you. That's what matters most. The door opened again. A young FBI agent entered, his face urgent. Commissioner, we have a situation. Victoria Kane is asking to see Mr. Chen. Absolutely not, Marcus said immediately. She says it's important. She says she has information that only she can give him directly. Something personal. Diana and the commissioner exchanged glances. What kind of information? Diana asked. She won't say. She'll only talk to Mr. Chen. Marcus stood up slowly. He looked at his mother. Stay with Lily. Don't leave her side. Marcus, you don't have to do this. I know, but I want to hear what she has to say. He followed the agent through the hospital corridors, past security checkpoints, to a private room on another floor. 2 armed guards stood outside. Inside, Victoria Kane sat handcuffed to a chair, wearing a plain gray jumpsuit instead of her usual designer clothes. She looked up when Marcus entered. Her face was drawn, exhausted. The woman who had commanded empires looked like she had aged 10 years in 3 days. Marcus, thank you for coming. I didn't come for you. I came because you said you had information. I do. Please sit down. Marcus remained standing. Talk. Victoria took a deep breath. When I destroyed MedHope, I didn't just take Emma's company. I took something else. Something I didn't tell anyone about. What? Emma was working on a treatment, an experimental drug for a rare childhood disease. She was close to a breakthrough. The clinical trials were showing incredible results. If she had been allowed to continue, she could have saved thousands of children. Marcus felt his throat tighten. I know about her research. She talked about it constantly. She was passionate about it. When I acquired MedHope's assets, I acquired all of her research data, all of her clinical trial results, everything she had worked on for 5 years. And you buried it, just like you buried everything else. Yes, I buried it because it wasn't profitable. Rare diseases don't generate enough revenue to justify development costs. That's what my analysts told me. That's what I told myself. Victoria's voice cracked. But I kept it. I don't know why. Maybe somewhere deep down, I knew what I was doing was wrong. I kept all of Emma's research in a secure server that only I have access to. Marcus took a step closer. Are you telling me that Emma's work still exists? I'm telling you that I want to give it back. To you. To whoever can continue what she started. I want her research to be completed. I want those children to be saved. It won't bring Emma back. It won't undo what I did. But maybe it can mean that her life's work wasn't destroyed for nothing. Marcus sat down heavily in the chair across from her. He couldn't speak. Emma's research. The work she had poured her heart and soul into. The dream she had died believing was lost forever. Why? He finally managed. "Why would you do this?" "Because your daughter looked at me yesterday and told me that her mommy was an angel. She said her mommy wanted to help sick children, but she couldn't because she had to go to heaven first." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "I've done terrible things, Marcus. Things I can never make up for. But if Emma's research can save even one child, then maybe some small part of the damage I've caused can be repaired." Marcus stared at her. At this woman who had destroyed his wife, who had shattered his family, who had sent him on an 18-month mission of vengeance that had nearly cost him everything. "You expect me to thank you?" "I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know. The access codes are with my attorney. Everything is yours." "It was always Emma's. You just stole it." "Yes. And now I'm giving it back. What you do with it is your choice." Marcus stood up. He walked to the door. Then he stopped. "The trial. Are you going to testify against everyone?" "Everyone. No exceptions, no deals. I'm going to tell the truth about everything I've done and everyone who helped me do it." "Why?" Victoria looked at him with something that might have been acceptance, or resignation, or simply exhaustion. "Because I'm tired, Marcus. Tired of lying. Tired of hurting people. Tired of being the monster I became. I looked at your daughter yesterday, and I saw what I could have been if I had made different choices, if I had valued people over profit, if I had been brave enough to be good instead of powerful." "You could have been different." "I could have been. I chose not to be, and now I have to live with what I chose." Marcus opened the door. "The research. I'll make sure it gets to the right people. Emma would have wanted that." "I know she would. She was a good person, Marcus. The best kind of person. And I destroyed her because I was jealous of everything she was that I could never be." Marcus didn't respond. He walked out of the room without looking back. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of secure facilities, endless interviews, and sleepless nights. Lily slowly began to recover. She had nightmares almost every night at first, screaming for her daddy, crying for her mommy. Marcus held her through each one, whispering that she was safe, that he was there, that nothing bad would happen to her again. The therapist said she was processing trauma, that it would take time, that children were more resilient than adults realized. Marcus wasn't sure he believed that, but he held on to the hope like a lifeline. His mother was a rock. She cooked meals in the small kitchen of their temporary quarters. She read stories to Lily. She held Marcus when he broke down in the middle of the night, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. "You're not alone," she told him one evening after Lily had fallen asleep. "You never were. Emma is still with you. I can feel her sometimes in this room, watching over you both. I miss her mom, every single day." "I know, sweetheart. I know." Diana Park visited regularly with updates on the case. The arrests were happening one by one. The senator, the judges, the pharmaceutical CEO. Each one caught in the web that Victoria Kane had finally decided to reveal. "It's the biggest corruption case in federal history," Diana told him. "Your recording started it. Victoria's testimony is finishing it. And Victoria, what happens to her? She'll spend the rest of her life in prison. But because of her cooperation, she'll be in a minimum security facility instead of maximum. It's the best deal she was going to get. Does she deserve that? After everything she did?" Diana considered the question carefully. "I don't know if anyone deserves anything, Marcus, but the system works on cooperation. Without her testimony, half of these people would walk free. Sometimes, justice means making deals with devils to catch bigger devils." "That doesn't feel like justice." "No, it feels like reality." The day before the trial was scheduled to begin, Marcus received a package. It had been cleared by security X-rayed, examined by bomb specialists. Inside was a simple wooden box. He opened it to find a letter and a flash drive. The letter was from Victoria. "Marcus, By the time you read this, I will be in federal custody preparing for my testimony. I wanted you to have this before the trial begins. The flash drive contains everything. Emma's research, her clinical trial data, her notes, her dreams. Everything I took from her when I destroyed MedHope. I also included something else. Something I found when I was going through my records preparing for the investigation. It's a video. Emma recorded it during the final days of MedHope when she knew everything was falling apart. I don't know why she recorded it or who she intended it for, but I think it belongs with you. I'm sorry, Marcus. I know those words mean nothing. I know they can't undo what I did. But I want you to know that somewhere in the darkness there was still a small part of me that recognized the light Emma carried. And I hated her for it. I hated her because she was everything I wasn't brave enough to be. Take care of Lily. She's beautiful. She has her mother's eyes. Victoria Marcus stared at the letter for a long time. Then he plugged the flash drive into his laptop. Hundreds of files, research data, chemical formulas, clinical trial results. Years of work preserved despite everything. And one video file dated 2 days before MedHope officially closed its doors. He hesitated. His finger hovered over the play button. Emma. His Emma. Recorded in her final days. Before the depression took hold. Before she lost hope. Before she walked out the door that last morning and never came back. He pressed play. Emma's face filled the screen. She looked tired, stressed, but still beautiful. Still the woman he had fallen in love with in medical school. Still the mother who had held Lily as a baby and sang lullabies that could heal anything. "Hi," she said to the camera. "I don't know who I'm making this for. Maybe no one. Maybe myself. But I feel like I need to say something. To leave something behind in case..." She paused, took a breath. "In case I don't get to finish what I started." Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. "My name is Emma Chen. I'm the founder of MedHope Pharmaceuticals. For the past 5 years, I've been working on a treatment for Batten disease. It's a rare genetic disorder that affects children. It destroys their nervous system. Most kids with Batten don't live past their teenage years. There's no cure. There's no treatment. Parents watch their children fade away, and there's nothing they can do." Emma's voice cracked slightly, but she kept going. "I got into this field because I believed science could help people. I believed that if you worked hard enough and cared enough, you could make a difference. I still believe that. Even now. Even with everything that's happening." She wiped her eyes. "Someone is trying to destroy my company. A woman named Victoria Kane. She wants my patents, my research, my life's work. And I don't know if I can stop her. She has more money, more lawyers, more power. And I'm just one person trying to help sick children." Marcus paused the video. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. Emma had known. She had known who was destroying her, and she had been fighting alone. He pressed play again. "But I want whoever finds this to know something. Even if I lose everything. Even if Victoria Kane takes my company and my research and everything I've built. The work matters. The science matters. The children matter. And someday someone will finish what I started. Someone will cure Batten disease. Someone will save those kids. I believe that. I have to believe that." Emma leaned closer to the camera. "And if Marcus ever sees this, if my husband is watching this someday..." Marcus stopped breathing. "I love you. I love you more than I could ever express. I love you for supporting me, for believing in me, for being the best father Lily could ever have. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing this fight to our doorstep. I'm sorry for not being strong enough to beat her. I'm sorry for whatever happens next." Tears were flowing freely down Emma's face now. "Take care of our daughter, Marcus. Tell her about me. Tell her that her mommy loved her more than anything in the world. Tell her that her mommy tried to help sick children because she wanted to make the world better for kids like her. Tell her that love is stronger than hate, that good people can win, that it matters to fight for what's right, even when you lose." Emma took a shaky breath. I love you, Marcus Chen. I have loved you since the first moment I saw you. And I will love you forever no matter what happens. Thank you for being my husband. Thank you for giving me Lily. Thank you for everything. She reached toward the camera. Goodbye, my love. The video ended. Marcus sat in the darkness of the small room, his laptop casting blue light across his tear-streaked face. Emma. His Emma. Speaking to him from beyond the grave. Telling him she loved him. Telling him to take care of Lily. Telling him that good people can win. He closed the laptop and walked to Lily's room. She was sleeping peacefully, her elephant under her arm, her face relaxed in a way it hadn't been since the night at the cabin. Marcus knelt beside her bed and took her hand. I found Mommy, he whispered. I found her, sweetheart. And she loves you. She loves you so much. Lily stirred slightly but didn't wake. Marcus kissed her forehead and stood up. Tomorrow, the trial would begin. Tomorrow he would testify against Victoria Kane and everyone she had ever worked with. Tomorrow justice would finally be served for Emma and all the other victims. But tonight, Marcus Chen had received something more valuable than justice. He had received a message from his wife. A reminder of who she was. A testament to the goodness that Victoria Kane had tried to destroy. Emma Chen had believed that good people could win. And tomorrow Marcus was going to prove her right. The morning of the trial arrived with gray skies and a cold wind that cut through everything. Marcus dressed carefully in the suit his mother had pressed for him. Dark blue, conservative. The kind of suit a federal prosecutor would wear. The kind of suit that said he was serious, credible, trustworthy. Lily watched him from the doorway of his room. You look fancy, Daddy. Thank you, sweetheart. Do I look like a lawyer? What's a lawyer? Someone who tells the truth in front of important people. Lily considered this. Mommy said telling the truth is always the right thing to do. Marcus knelt down to her level. Mommy was very smart. I know. She was the smartest person ever. Today, Daddy is going to tell the truth about some bad people. It might take a long time. You'll stay here with Grandma, okay? Will the bad people go away? Yes, baby. After today, the bad people will go away. Lily hugged him tightly. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything in the world. The federal courthouse was surrounded by media. Cameras, reporters, satellite trucks from every major network. This was the biggest trial of the decade, and everyone wanted a piece of it. Marcus entered through a side door flanked by FBI agents. Diana Park met him in the hallway. How are you feeling? Terrified. Ready. Both at the same time. That's exactly how you should feel. Remember, just tell the truth. That's all you have to do. I've been telling the truth for months. Today it just happens in front of cameras. The courtroom was packed. Reporters in the gallery. Lawyers at every table. The defendants in a row wearing expensive suits that couldn't hide the fear in their eyes. Senator Morrison, Judge Williams, Judge Peterson, CEO Anderson, and at the end, in a gray prison jumpsuit that somehow still looked elegant on her Victoria Kane. She met Marcus's eyes as he entered. She nodded slightly. He didn't respond. The judge called the court to order. The prosecution delivered their opening statement. And then it was Marcus's turn. The prosecution calls Marcus Chen to the stand. Marcus walked to the witness box. He placed his hand on the Bible. He swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then he began to speak. He told them everything. The restaurant, the water in his face, the confrontation, the recordings, Emma, MedHope, the hostile takeover, the suicide, the 18 months of planning, the attack on his family, Holbrook, everything. He spoke for 4 hours. His voice never wavered, his story never changed. He answered every question from the prosecution and survived every attack from the defense attorneys. When it was over, he walked out of the courtroom feeling lighter than he had in years. Diana was waiting for him in the hallway. "You did it, Marcus. You did everything you needed to do. Is it enough?" "It's more than enough. Combined with Victoria's testimony and all the evidence, these people are going away for a very long time." Marcus leaned against the wall. He felt exhausted, drained, but also for the first time in 2 years at peace. "Emma would be proud of you," Diana said. "I watched a video she made before she died. She said she believed good people could win. She was right. I know. I finally know." Part 5. Phan Ket Thuk. Louis Viet 4002 liên kết liên mạch với các phần trước trong câu chuyện pha hội thoại tạo thành một câu chuyện liền mạch khi ghép lại. Mỗi phần liền mạch với phần trước không giới thiệu lại câu chuyện ở đầu phần mới. Liên kết các phần của câu chuyện một cách liền mạch. Sử dụng câu chuyện tiếp giữa các phần. Duy trì chủ đề. Tránh ngắt quãng đột ngột, không sử dụng gạch đầu dòng hoặc tiêu đề phụ phong cách kể chuyện Mỹ Hoa Kỳ, giống văn giàu cảm xúc chân thực và gần gũi. Kẻ theo ngôi thứ ba, giữ độ kịch tính không viết lan mạn, kết thúc dùng câu khẳng định mạnh để khép lại câu chuyện rõ ràng, trọn vẹn. Lưu ý trả lời trong mục tin nhắn không nhảy sang mục Document 2219. Orchestrated Final Story Arc Resolving Trial, Healing Legacy, and Redemption Themes. The user wants me to write Part 5, the final part of the story. This needs to be approximately 4,000 words connecting seamlessly with the previous parts. The story should continue from where Part 4 ended. Marcus just testified in court. Be written in American storytelling style, with emotional, authentic, and relatable tone. Third-person narrative. Focus on action dialogue and character psychology. End with a strong affirmative statement to close the story completely. No bullet points or subheadings. No scene descriptions. Focus on action and dialogue. Maintain dramatic tension without being verbose. Connect all story threads to a satisfying conclusion. Key story elements to resolve. 1. The trial verdict. Victoria Kane and other defendants. 2. Marcus's healing journey. 3. Lily's recovery and growth. 4. Emma's research, completing her legacy. 5. Marcus's future, what he does next. 6. The message about voice truth and standing up, I need to bring closure to. The legal case. Marcus's emotional journey. Emma's legacy, the research. Lily's future. The theme of finding your voice, and good people can win. Let me write this final part with emotional depth and a powerful ending. Part 5. The voice that remained. The verdict came 3 weeks later. Marcus was sitting in his mother's living room when Diana called. Lily was at school her first day back since everything had happened. His mother was in the kitchen making lunch. The television was muted, showing footage from the courthouse that had become familiar over the past month. "Marcus, it's over." "What happened?" "Guilty. All of them. Every single count." Marcus closed his eyes. He felt something release inside his chest. Something that had been coiled tight for 2 years. Victoria. 47 counts of fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering. She'll spend the rest of her life in prison. The others got similar sentences. Senator Morrison. Both judges. Anderson. Everyone who helped her destroy people is going away. And the ones who sent Holbrook. 3 more arrests this morning. We got them all, Marcus. Every single person connected to the attack on your family is in custody. Marcus opened his eyes. His mother was standing in the doorway, watching him with tears in her eyes. She had heard enough to understand. "Thank you, Diana, for everything. Don't thank me. You did this. You and Emma. None of it would have happened without your courage." After he hung up, his mother crossed the room and wrapped her arms around him. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Some moments were too big for words. They stood there for a long time holding each other, letting 2 years of grief and fear and desperate hope finally find somewhere to rest. That afternoon, Marcus picked up Lily from school. She came running out of the building with her backpack, bouncing her face bright with the simple joy of being 7 years old and alive. "Daddy, I made a picture for you." She thrust a piece of construction paper into his hands. 3 figures drawn in crayon. A tall one with brown hair, a small one with pigtails, and above them, surrounded by yellow lines that looked like rays of sunshine, a figure with wings. "That's you," Lily said, pointing to the tall figure. "And that's me. And that's Mommy watching us from heaven." Marcus knelt down and pulled his daughter into his arms. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. Mommy would love it." "I know. I told her about it when I said my prayers last night. I told her we're okay now. I told her the bad people are going away." "How did you know about that?" "Grandma told me. She said Daddy was a hero and the bad people couldn't hurt us anymore." Marcus looked at his daughter, at her innocent eyes, at the trust in her face, at the resilience that the therapist had promised was there finally beginning to show itself. "Grandma's right. The bad people are going away, and we're going to be okay." "I know, Daddy. Mommy told me." "Mommy told you?" "In my dream last night. She said you did a good job. She said she's proud of you. She said to tell you she loves you." Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. He didn't try to stop them. "I love her too, sweetheart. I love her too." The weeks that followed brought changes Marcus hadn't expected. The media attention was overwhelming at first. Every network wanted an interview. Every newspaper wanted his story. Marcus declined them all. He had said everything he needed to say on the witness stand. The rest belonged to his family. But other opportunities came. Opportunities he couldn't ignore. The first was a call from Robert Morrison, the attorney who had reached out after the night at the Obsidian Room. "Mr. Chen, we've completed the class action lawsuit against Kane Enterprises. 147 victims. The settlement is $400 million. Marcus sat down. $400 million. Divided among all the victims. Some of them lost everything because of Victoria Kane. This won't give them back what they lost, but it will help them rebuild." "That's incredible." "It happened because of you. Because you gave them permission to speak. Because you showed them that someone like Victoria Kane could be beaten." The second opportunity came from Mr. Tanaka, the Japanese investor who had been at the table that night at the Obsidian Room. He flew to New York specifically to meet with Marcus. They sat in a quiet coffee shop in Manhattan, 2 men from different worlds brought together by an unlikely moment of truth. "Mr. Chen, I have been thinking about what you did, about the courage it required, about the sacrifice. I did what I had to do. You did more than that. You changed the way I see business, the way I see success. For 40 years, I measured my worth by the money I accumulated, by the deals I closed, by the power I wielded. But watching you stand up to Victoria Kane with nothing but your integrity, I realized something." "What's that?" "True wealth is not measured in dollars. It is measured in the lives we improve, the people we help, the legacy we leave behind." Mr. Tanaka slid an envelope across the table. "What is this?" "A proposal. Your wife was developing a treatment for Batten disease. Victoria Kane stole her research and buried it. I want to fund the completion of that research, a new laboratory, a team of scientists, everything needed to finish what Emma started." Marcus stared at the envelope. "Mr. Tanaka, this must be millions of dollars." $50 million. Initial investment, with more available as needed." "Why would you do this?" "Because I have grandchildren, Mr. Chen, 3 of them. And the thought that there are parents watching their children die from diseases that could be cured, if only someone cared enough to try that thought, keeps me awake at night. Your wife cared. She tried. I want to help her succeed, even if she cannot be here to see it." Marcus opened the envelope. Inside was a formal proposal for the Emma Chen Foundation for Pediatric Research. The foundation would bear her name. Her legacy would live on, and perhaps someday, children who would have died will live because of what she started. Marcus couldn't speak. He sat there holding the envelope, tears falling onto the paper. "Mr. Chen, are you all right?" She believed good people could win. She recorded a video before she died. She said she believed someone would finish her work someday. She believed it even when she was losing everything. "Then let us prove her right." Marcus looked up at the man across from him. A billionaire investor who had almost been scammed by Victoria Kane. A stranger who had become an ally. A symbol of everything Emma had believed about the world. "Yes," Marcus said. "Let's prove her right." The Emma Chen Foundation launched 6 months later. The press conference was held at Columbia University Medical Center, where a new research wing had been funded by Mr. Tanaka's investment. Scientists from around the world had applied to join the team. The best minds in pediatric medicine, all united by Emma's vision. Marcus stood at the podium, looking out at the crowd of reporters, researchers, and supporters who had gathered to witness this moment. Lily sat in the front row next to his mother, wearing a yellow dress that Emma had bought her before she died. She was holding her elephant, watching her father with the same trust she had shown since the day she was born. 2 years ago, Marcus began. "I lost my wife. Emma Chen was a doctor, a researcher, a mother, and she had a dream." He paused, gathering himself. Her dream was to cure Batten disease, to save children who had no hope, to make the world better for families who were watching their sons and daughters fade away with no treatment, no cure, no chance. He looked at Lily. She smiled at him. Victoria Kane stole that dream. She destroyed Emma's company. She buried her research. She thought that profit was more important than people. She was wrong. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Today we announce the launch of the Emma Chen Foundation for Pediatric Research. Thanks to the generosity of Mr. James Tanaka and dozens of other donors, we have the resources to continue Emma's work, to complete the research she started, to develop the treatment she believed was possible. He looked down at his notes, then pushed them aside. But this foundation is about more than science. It's about redemption. It's about proof that good people can win, even when the odds are impossible. It's about a message that I want every person watching to hear. He looked directly into the camera. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. No matter how powerful the people arrayed against you. No matter how hopeless the situation seems. No matter how invisible you feel. Your voice has power. Your story has meaning. And when you finally find the courage to speak, you can change the world. He stepped back from the podium. This foundation is for Emma, but it's also for everyone who has ever been silenced. Everyone who has ever been told they don't matter. Everyone who has ever believed that the powerful always win. He smiled through his tears. They don't always win. And this foundation is proof. The applause that followed was deafening, but Marcus barely heard it. He was looking at his daughter, who had climbed out of her chair and was running toward him. He caught her in his arms and held her tight. "You did good, Daddy," she whispered. "Mommy said so." "How do you know?" "Because I can feel her smiling." The years that followed brought more changes than Marcus could have imagined. The Emma Chen Foundation grew beyond anyone's expectations. Within 2 years, they had made significant progress on the Batten disease treatment. Within 5 years, they entered clinical trials. And 7 years after Emma's death, the FDA approved the first effective treatment for Batten disease, based entirely on the research Emma had started in her small laboratory at MedHope. The first child to receive the treatment was a 6-year-old girl named Sophie from Minnesota. Her parents had been told she would be dead by age 12. Instead, she celebrated her 13th birthday, surrounded by family and friends. Her disease in remission. Her future suddenly full of possibilities. Marcus flew to Minnesota to meet her. He brought Lily, now 14, who had grown into a remarkable young woman with her mother's eyes and her father's determination. Sophie's mother met them at the door of their home, tears streaming down her face. "Mr. Chen, I don't know how to thank you." "Don't thank me. Thank Emma. She started all of this." "I know. I've read about her. I've watched the documentary. She was an incredible woman." "She was. And she would have loved Sophie." Sophie came running down the stairs, full of energy, full of life. She threw herself at Lily, who caught her with a surprised laugh. "You're Lily. I've seen pictures of you. Your mom was so pretty." Lily smiled. "She was. She really was." "My mom says your mom saved my life." Lily looked at Marcus. He nodded. "She did," Lily said. "That's what she always wanted to do, save lives." They spent the afternoon with Sophie's family, laughing, telling stories, watching Sophie run around the backyard with an energy that would have been impossible just 2 years earlier. On the flight home, Lily was quiet for a long time. Then she turned to Marcus. "Dad." "Yeah, sweetheart. Do you think Mom knows about Sophie? About all the kids who are going to be saved because of her?" Marcus thought about the question. He thought about Emma's video, about her belief that good people could win, about her faith that someone would finish her work. "Yeah, baby, I think she knows. I miss her. I miss her too. Every day. But it hurts less now. Is that okay? Is it okay that it hurts less?" Marcus took his daughter's hand. "It's not just okay. It's what she would have wanted. She wanted us to be happy, to live our lives, to find joy even after losing her." "How do you know?" "Because that's who she was. She was about life, not death. About hope, not despair. About love, not loss." Lily leaned her head against his shoulder. "I want to be a doctor like Mom." Yeah, I want to help sick kids. I want to finish what she started." Marcus felt his heart swell with pride and grief and hope all mixed together. "I think that would make her very happy." "I think so too." The plane flew on through the darkness, carrying a father and daughter toward a future that Emma Chen had helped create. Marcus returned to law 3 years after the trial. Not as a prosecutor, not chasing criminals through the court system. Instead, he joined a non-profit legal organization that helped victims of corporate fraud rebuild their lives. The work was hard. The hours were long. The pay was modest compared to what he could have earned in private practice. But every client he helped was a reminder of why he had become a lawyer in the first place. One evening, he was working late in his small office when Diana Park appeared at his door. Working late again. Old habits. She sat down across from him. They had stayed in touch over the years. Friends forged in the fire of the Kane investigation. "I have news. Thought you'd want to hear it in person." "Good news or bad news? Depends on your perspective. Victoria Kane died this morning." Marcus sat back in his chair. He didn't know what to feel. Satisfaction. Relief. Emptiness. How? Heart attack. In her cell. She was 71 years old. Did she say anything? At the end, Diana pulled out a folded piece of paper. "She left this. For you. The warden said she wrote it last week. Like she knew something was coming." Marcus took the paper but didn't open it. "Have you read it?" "No. It was sealed. Addressed to you specifically." Diana stood up. "I'll let you have some privacy. Call me if you need anything." After she left, Marcus sat alone in his office, holding the letter from the woman who had destroyed his wife. Part of him wanted to throw it away unread. To refuse Victoria Kane even this final communication. To deny her the satisfaction of having the last word. But another part of him needed to know. Needed to hear whatever she had to say. Needed to close this chapter once and for all. He opened the letter. "Marcus, if you're writing this, I'm dead. I've known for a while that my heart was failing. The prison doctor said it was just a matter of time. I suppose that's fitting. My heart failed a long time ago in ways that doctors can't measure. I've had 12 years in this cell to think about what I did. 12 years to remember every person I hurt. every life I destroyed, every family I tore apart. Emma's face visits me every night. I see her in my dreams. I see her smile. I see her hope. And then I see what I did to her, and I wake up screaming. You probably think I deserve that. You're right. I deserve worse. But I wanted you to know something before I died. Something I've never told anyone. The day I decided to destroy MedHope, I had a choice. My analysts had given me two options. Option 1, buy Emma out fairly, let her continue her research with proper funding, make a modest profit while helping children. Option 2, destroy her, take her patents, and maximize shareholder value. I chose option 2. Not because I had to, not because it was the only way, but because I wanted to prove that I could. Because crushing someone as good as Emma made me feel powerful. Because her idealism offended me. Because she had something I had lost so long ago I couldn't even remember what it felt like. Hope. She had hope. And I hated her for it. I've spent 12 years trying to understand why I became the monster I became. I don't have answers, just regrets. An ocean of regrets so deep I'll never reach the bottom. But I want you to know that watching what you built in Emma's name has been the only light in my darkness. The foundation, the research, the children being saved. Every time I heard news about another breakthrough, another treatment, another life saved, I felt something I thought I had lost forever. Pride. In you. In Emma. In the proof that good really can triumph over evil even when evil holds all the cards. I took everything from Emma. And somehow through your love and courage, everything she dreamed of is coming true anyway. That's not redemption. Redemption isn't possible for someone like me. But it's something. A small light in infinite darkness. Take care of Lily. She's grown into a beautiful young woman. I've seen pictures in the news coverage. She looks just like her mother. And take care of yourself, Marcus. You deserved better than what I gave you. Emma deserved better. The world deserved better. I'm sorry. I know those words are worthless. But they're all I have left. Victoria Marcus read the letter twice. Then, he folded it carefully and put it in his desk drawer. He didn't cry. He didn't rage. He didn't feel satisfaction or relief or anything he expected to feel. He just felt tired. Tired and ready to move on. He picked up his phone and called Lily. Hey, Dad, what's up? Nothing. Just wanted to hear your voice. You okay? You sound weird. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just thinking about your mom. I think about her every day, especially now. Now, I got my acceptance letter today. Medical school, Johns Hopkins, mom's school. Marcus felt tears finally coming. Not sad tears, not grief tears, something else entirely. Lily, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to finish what she started, Dad. I'm going to cure diseases and save children and make her proud. She's already proud. She's been proud of you since the day you were born. I know. I can feel her sometimes. When I'm studying late at night, when I'm struggling with something hard, I can feel her sitting next to me telling me not to give up. She never gave up. Not once. Neither did you, Dad. You're my hero. You know that, right? Marcus wiped his eyes. I love you, Lily. I love you too, Dad. I'll see you this weekend. Wouldn't miss it. He hung up and sat in the silence of his office, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. 18 months as a waiter, invisible and patient. One night of confrontation that changed everything. Years of trials and investigations and healing. A foundation that had saved thousands of lives. A daughter who was becoming everything her mother had dreamed of. And a letter from a dead woman who had finally too late understood what she had destroyed. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. The city stretched out below him, millions of people living their lives, fighting their battles, searching for hope in a world that often seemed hopeless. He thought about Emma, about her video, about her belief that good people could win. He thought about Lily, about medical school, about the future stretching out before her like an endless horizon. He thought about Sophie in Minnesota, about the thousands of children who would grow up now because of research that started in Emma's small laboratory. And he thought about himself, about the man he had been before Emma died, the man he became in the darkness of grief, and the man he was now standing in the light of everything they had built together. "We won, Em," he whispered to the empty room. "We finally won." The city lights twinkled below him like stars fallen to earth, and somewhere in the distance, Marcus Chen could swear he heard his wife laughing. Not sad laughter, not ghostly laughter, just the pure, joyful sound of a woman who had believed in the goodness of the world and had finally been proven right. He smiled. Then he turned off the light, locked his office door, and went home to plan his daughter's graduation party. Life went on. It always does. But for Marcus Chen, life had finally become something worth living again. Not because the pain was gone. The pain never fully goes away. Not because the memories had faded. The memories of Emma would stay with him forever. But because he had learned something that Victoria Kane never understood. Something that Emma had known from the very beginning. Love is stronger than hate. Truth is stronger than lies. And one voice raised in courage can change the entire world. Marcus Chen had been a waiter who was mocked and humiliated by a billionaire who thought he was nothing. But he had never been nothing. He was a father, a lawyer, a widower, a fighter. He was the man who brought down an empire with nothing but his voice and his truth. And he was proof living, breathing proof that sometimes the person everyone underestimates is the one who changes everything. That was Emma's legacy. That was Marcus's truth. And that was the story of how one ordinary man, armed with nothing but courage and conviction, proved that good people really can win.